into the legal profession with a focused practice in India privacy. The Digital Personal Data Protection DPDP Act cyber crimes, cyber frauds and technology law. He advised individuals, startups and organizations on navigating complex legal and regulatory challenges in the digital ecosystem, including data protection, compliance, cybersecurity, incidents, digital investigations, and online financial frauds. Through Kapoor, legal advocate Rohit Kapoor is submitted to bringing the gap, bridging the gap between technology and law, helping clients address emerging risks while ensuring compliance in the increasingly digital world. Now, I request to Mr. Kapoor, please take over.
Thank you, Yogaraj Singh ji. So, good morning, everyone. So, firstly, I would like to thank Engineering Council of India to allow me to address this new elephant in the room, DPDP Act 2023. So, before we begin, let me ask you a simple question. How many of us have accepted a website cookie policy without reading it? Whenever we go to a website, there's always a cookie policy and it asks for our consent. So most of us don't read that, and
We normally don't read, we accept it
right,
for quick access, actually.
right. So that's so we have already violated our own privacy. So that makes this session highly relevant because things have changed now after this DPDP Act. So we will be discussing about these changes now. So we have heard for many years that data is the new oil. The problem is that unlike oil, data belongs to people. When it leaks, the damage is not environmental, but it's personal, reputational, financial, and sometimes national. So let me tell you a small story. It's a true story. In 2021, Air India disclosed that personal data of approximately 4.5 million passengers had been compromised through a cyber attack on its service provider. So the exposed data reportedly included passenger names, their date of birth, contact details, passport information, ticket details, frequent flyer information. Fortunately, CVV numbers were not compromised. So the breach occurred through a third-party service provider. So now think about for a moment how many vendors currently process personal data for your organization. 10, 50, 100. So if one vendor is breached, whose reputation suffers? The public rarely remember the vendor, they remember the organization, like we are remembering Air India. So no one is bothered about the service provider. So the title of this session, 250 crore mistake, it's not hypothetical. That is the maximum penalty under India's new DPDP Act for a single security breach. Deposit directly into the consolidated fund of India. So by this session, we'll try to make sure money stays where it belongs in your balance sheets. So as Mr. Yogaraj ji has already introduced me, I am Rohit Kapoor, former technology and audit professional, and your guide through the next 1.5 hours. What I promise to be the most important and hopefully not most boring compliance session you have attended so far. So I'll skip this slide as we have already discussed. So this is the agenda of the session. So We'll be covering these 8 topics. So this isn't a law school syllabus. So I have compressed what our parliament took 8 years to pass into one morning session. So I'm not sure how many of you have already read the DPDP Act. So maybe if someone has read that, maybe they can share their observations or if they have any comments. Okay. Okay, that's honest, and that's why we are here. So, second of our session, we'll try to cover cyber crimes, especially digital arrest and UPI frauds. So these are like very prevalent in these days. So I'll try to cover these also in the second half of this presentation. So why data protection, the digital India reality? So let me give you some context why this law was absolutely inevitable. So we have in India 958 million users of internet, nearly a billion people online transacting, sharing, uploading, downloading every single day. So that is not a user base, that's a data gold mine. And every organization in this room is sitting on that piece of that mine, whether it's employee records, customer KYC, Dharlink data, or the analytics your IT team pulls up from app logs every morning. So the average cost of a data breach in India in 2025 was 220 million. So data is so expensive. So that is not the cost of doing business, but the cost of not doing compliance.
कपूर साहब इसको
8,000
सॉरी कपूर साहब इसको आप पूरा फुल स्क्रीन कर सकते हैं?
स्पीड मतलब इसको स्क्वीज कर दूं?
नहीं, फुल स्क्रीन मतलब इसको
अच्छा सॉरी फुल स्क्रीन
स्लाइड मोड में. There is a request from few people.
Is it okay now?
No. हाँ, yeah, it is okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Yes, sir. Perfect.
Okay.
Please.
Thank you. So 8,000 cyber incident reported in certain every day. So my personal favorite statistic on this slide is that 56% of Indians are unaware that their data is being sold. So what made the dedicated law necessary? 4 things: digital explosion, Aadhaar, UPI, DigiLocker, health apps. So billions of transactions generating oceans of personal data. The IT Act 2000 was written when India had fewer internet users. So that was not designed for this scale. And in the IT Act section 43A, it offered some data protection, but it was a patchwork. So we had more law protecting physical property than digital identity. So that's why this a new law especially for personal digital data was required. So in 2017, a 9-judge constitutional bench declared the right to privacy as a fundamental right under Article 21 of our constitution. So that was the famous Puttaswamy judgment. So Puttaswamy ji was a retired judge of a high court, and he asked about the right of privacy when government was introduced this Aadhaar scheme and they were collecting the biometrics and personal data of all the citizens. So at that time, Mr. Puttaswamy filed a PIL about the safeguards and security of that data. So once the Supreme Court speaks, the legislature has to follow eventually. So it took them 8 years to come up with this law. And finally, global pressure, GDPR in Europe, PDPA in Singapore, PIPL in China. So India's data was crossing borders into jurisdictions with robust protections, while Indian citizens had none. So that was a diplomatic and economically unsustainable also. So now the DPDP Act is India's answer to all 4 of these realities. So this is the legislative journey. So in 2017, Supreme Court says privacy is a fundamental right. Parliament now has constitutional obligation to protect it. So in 2018, government forms the Shri Krishna Committee, Brilliant Minds. So thorough report. So they submitted a bill. But in 2019, the PDP bill was introduced and referred to the Joint Parliamentary Committee. So in 22, government withdrew the bill because there were 81 amendments from the JPC. So, but sometimes starting over is the right call. And in year 2023, Digital Personal Data Protection Act is passed. Presidential assent on August 11 was granted, and clean, focused law with just 44 sections compared to the 99 clause monster of the 2019 bill was passed. So last year in November 25, DPDP rules were notified and the act is now operational. So this is the scope, structure and coverage. So first we'll discuss to whom this law applies to. So processing of digital personal data within India and outside India if you are offering good or services to Indian residents. So if your cloud vendor in Singapore holds data of Indian citizens, you are covered under this act. So all organizations, private companies, PSUs, government bodies that determine the purpose and means of data processing, which means that if you decide why that data is collected, how it is processed, you are a data fiduciary. The law is talking directly to you. So, quick question: does anyone here believe their organization does not collect, store, or process personal data of any kind? Right. Because you cannot run an organization without employees, and employees are people, and people have personal data. So, welcome to this act. So, it's covering everything digital: names, IDs, locations, financial data, health records, biometrics, behavioral data, your HR system, your customer database, your vendor records, your app analytics, all of it. So there are some exemptions like personal data processed for personal or domestic use. Like if you are storing your maid's mobile number in your personal phone, so that is exempted. And the data that has been voluntarily made public by individuals themselves, like on LinkedIn, Facebook, if you have like created a profile with your mail ID or with your phone number, so that is exempted because it's already volunteered by you. So now the principles of the act, these are the philosophical foundation of every obligation you will hear about today. Lawful purpose. So the data must be processed for a lawful specific purpose. Purpose limitation. Data used only for the stated purpose of collection. If you are storing an employee record for payroll processing, so that should only be used for payroll processing. You cannot use that data for any other or marketing or analytics purpose. Data minimization. Collect only what is necessary, nothing more. Accuracy. Ensure data is correct and up to date. Storage limitation. Retain data as long as needed, then delete. So organizations have to create category-wise data retention policies. Security. Implement reasonable safeguards to prevent breaches. Like the data in your laptop should be encrypted. Like if your laptop is stolen, then the thief should not be able to retrieve the data from your laptop. So that's an example. Accountability. Data fiduciary is responsible for compliance. So I think most of the people will be wondering what is a data fiduciary. So every good drama needs a cast, and DPDP Act has 6. First one is the data principle, the individual whose personal data is processed. For example, an employee whose HR data is maintained, or a customer whose KYC is stored. So data fiduciary, entity or organization that determines purpose and means of processing personal data, they are directly accountable under the Act. For example, if we talk about PSUs, BHEL, ONGC, SBI, if we talk about corporates, Zomato, IRCTC, Flipkart, Amazon, so they all are data fiduciaries because they are collecting and storing our personal data. Data processor, third party that processes data on behalf of data fiduciary as per their instructions, like your IT vendor, cloud service provider, or your payroll outsourcing firm. So they all are data processors. Consent manager. So this is a new concept introduced in this act. So registered intermediary enabling data principals to grant, manage, review, and withdraw consent across multiple fiduciaries. So they are like account aggregators. So the government has granted the first license to TCS as a consent manager. So the TCS is now will be introducing a system for managing consents for various fiduciaries. So the fiduciaries who can register in their consent management system, so TCS will act as their consent manager. There's one more concept, significant data fiduciaries. So data fiduciaries notified by government based on volume, sensitivity, national security risk, subject to enhanced obligations. So like very large corporates or PSUs handling crores of citizens' records. So they will be categorized as significant data fiduciary. So the government of India will soon release the list of like all those corporates and PSUs which will be categorized as a significant data fiduciary. Then there's the last one, Data Protection Board, independent adjudicatory body to hear complaints, investigate breaches, and impose penalties under the Act. So this is operational since November 25, but it's right now the positions are being filled by the government. So recently there was an advertisement in the media, fill these positions. So the most important cornerstone of the DPDP compliance is the consent. So if I ask you to sign a document right now in English only, in a tiny font that said, by signing this, you agree to share all your personal information with us for any purpose we see fit forever, with no option to withdraw. You sign it? Of course not. No one will sign that. So that's essentially what most organizations' current consent mechanisms look like. A 40-page PDF attached to a continue button. And most of us don't read. I think nobody reads that. So valid consent under this act must consist of these 6 things. It should be free, no conditional service delivery. You cannot say you share your data or you don't get that service unless data is generally essential for that service. Specific, one purpose per consent. We may not use data for various purpose. So what purposes, name it. So if you are like collecting data for 2 or 3 purposes, so there should be a separate lines. You cannot club them. So every purpose should be defined as a single line, the consent form. Informed, plain language, no legal jargon, available in legal languages. Suppose if you are taking a consent from someone in Tamil Nadu, then that should also be available in Tamil. If you are going to West Bengal, that should be available in the Bengali language, the regional language. So the purpose is that the common citizen, he should be able to understand that consent. It should be unconditional, cannot attach conditions or limitations to the consent request. Affirmative, explicit positive actions. Silence or pre-ticked boxes are invalid now. So we have usually seen that whenever we go to some site and in the consent box, there are already pre-ticked boxes. And we have seen that with many our banking applications also. So these are no more valid now. So the box should be checked by the user. It should be like explicit consent, not an implicit one. Withdrawable. Easy to withdraw as it was to give. So withdraw should take immediate effect. So now I have a right to withdraw the consent, for example, from Amazon or Flipkart to delete my data. They cannot continue to hold or store my data for in their database. So legitimate uses. So government has introduced the concept of legitimate uses. So if there is a compliance with law or court order, if there is a medical emergency or epidemic response, employment related processing, payrolls, benefits, state services, apparent public safety and national security. Like a few days back, I was attending a conference in PhD Chamber of Commerce on CCTV. So CCTV is something which is like capturing photos of like hundreds of thousands of people passing by, and it's practically impossible to take a consent from like all those people. So, so the legitimate use can be public safety and national security because those CCTVs are there for security. So there are some common pitfalls to avoid. So pre-checked consent boxes in forms, bundled consent for multiple purposes, like one consent which is bundled for multiple purposes, like I'm taking this data for your payroll processing, for your behavior analytics, and for maybe any other purposes which we can club. So continuing to use our services means you agree. So sometimes if you see that some websites have this kind of in their terms and condition, if you continue to use our service, means you agree to blah blah blah. There are some conditions there. A very long consent buried under 40-page terms and conditions. And if there is no mechanism to withdraw consent. So all these consents are not valid after this DPDP. So these are the rights of data principles. So these are employees, customers, and citizens or vendors granted by the DPDP Act. So right to access under Section 11. So they have a right to know what data is being processed, for what purpose, and by whom. So an employee can ask HR for a list of all data held on them. Right to correction and erasure. So incorrect and inaccurate, incomplete data, request erasure when purpose is fulfilled. Suppose I have decided not to use Flipkart for online shopping anymore. So I have a right to ask Flipkart to erase my data. Simply a retired employee can request for deletion of salary records. Pension records can be there, but salary. Right to grievance redressal. Section 13. Raise complaints with data fiduciary must be resolved within 30 days. Otherwise, there are very heavy penalties which we'll be discussing later on. So customer complaints about misuse of KYC data to be addressed formally. So we have seen frequently that we share our Aadhaar cards for registration of SIM cards, and that data has been sold to various agencies for personal loan and credit card companies, and we keep on getting calls, daily calls from them. So this is why we need this act will be very helpful to contain all this mess which has been going on. So right to nominate. So person has a right to nominate another person to exercise data rights in case of a death or incapacity. For example, family member can request data deletion on behalf of a deceased individual. Right to withdraw consent. Withdraw consent at any time. Withdraw does not affect prior lawful processing. Vendor lawful processing means like you cannot request income tax department to delete your data. So there are some like statutory requirements to keep that data for 7 or 8 years. So that is the like minimum. So that is the like lawful purposes for different industries that has already been defined by the law. So beyond that lawful processing period, so data has to be deleted. These are the core obligations of data fiduciary. So before you collect any data, you must tell individual what you are collecting, why, how long you will retain, and how they can withdraw consent. Notice must be in plain language. So clear privacy notice, like provide plain language notice before collecting data, what is collected, why, how long. So all that should be, it should be in English and any eighth schedule language, which means our legal language. Valid consent. So we have covered this: free, specific, informed, unconditional, affirmative, withdrawable. Safety, secure guards, reasonable technical and organizational measures, encryptions, access controls, monitorings, anonymization. The Act uses the word reasonable, it's proportional to your scale and the sensitivity of the data you hold. Data retention and erasure. So when the purpose is met, delete the data. No indefinite retention. You must also notify individual 48 hours before the scheduled erasure, which means you need to know when that deadline is, retention schedules for every category of data. So there should be a schedule for every category. Breach notification, that is very important. So if there is a breach, you have 72 hours to report to the data protection board and notify affected individuals. So penalty for failing to notify, maximum up to 200 crore. So we have an entire slide on the 72-hour clock. So not a comfortable viewing. So accountability and records. Maintain records of processing activities. Ensures your data processors, all your vendors comply. Publish grievance contact details. Registered with the board if you are designated as a significant data fiduciary. So any questions so far or any doubts? So you can please ask. So this is a long session. Okay. I hope that I'm not boring and no one is sleeping. Significant data.
Carry on, Kapoor Saab. It is very informative.
Okay,
And
thank
since
you.
you are giving examples also alongside,
Right.
so like I wanted to know about data fiduciaries, but then you gave example.
Right.
So you are eliminating possibilities of raising questions.
Oh,
So
that's
that is
great.
good.
Thank you, sir.
If we are not asking questions, that does not mean we are not attentive.
Okay, perfect.
So carry on. Carry on.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. So significant data fiduciaries. This is the like VIP section of the Act. So maybe a small quiz. Raise your hand if your organization has more than 10,000 employees, or maybe you can let me know by answering that. Yes. Large customer databases, sensitive information, multiple digital platforms, cloud infrastructures. So if you have all this, so you have just volunteered to become an significant data fiduciary. So the significant data fiduciary designation is for organizations whose data processing activities are on a scale or of a sensitivity that warrants enhanced scrutiny. The government can designate any data fiduciary as a significant data fiduciary based on certain factors like volume and sensitivity of data, risk to national security or public order, potential harm to rights of individuals, impact on the sovereignty of India, sensitivity of the sector like health, finance, telecom. So if you are a PSU, I want you to look at the list and ask yourself, does this apply to us? So I think it applies to most of us. So data protection officers. So India-based reporting directly to board of directors. It's not an IT department, it will be a separate department. So every significant data fiduciary, they are required to appoint a data protection officer. They also have to conduct an annual data protection assessment. So which is like an audit, which will assess the privacy risk or of your processing activities. Think of it as an annual health check for your data practices. Independent audit, external auditor reviews for your data processing activities. Not your internal team, but it should be an external, independent, and documented audit. So if you're using AI or machine learning, you must assess whether the algorithms are fair and non-discriminatory. So banking PSUs like SBI, Bank of Baroda, where they have like 50, 60 crore of customer database with financial and biometric data. So they are like categorized as significant data fiduciaries. Energy PSUs like ONGC, NTPC, Coal India, billions of employees, contractors, community records, telecom PSUs, subscriber call records, location data, identity documents. So defense PSUs. So if your organization processes data on a large scale and is in a sensitive sector, so you will be definitely categorized as significant data fiduciary. So don't wait for the notification. I think you should start your preparations now.
Acha,
Special,
Kapoor Sahab, just
yes,
one question.
right,
You talked about SDFs. Now,
yes,
suppose there is an audit company which is auditing bank or any energy PSU or telecom company. So, under
right.
what category auditors will be there? Private auditors, particularly like EY, Deloitte, and all. What are their roles, responsibilities, and what they are called?
So they are data processors
They are data processors.
because the company is voluntarily giving them data. So whenever they are coming for the audit, so we are giving them our records. So they have certain obligations. So, but the ownership still lies with the data fiduciary. So, like if I'm giving data to any auditor, so I have to make sure that that auditor is compliant with this act. They have the required safeguards and everything that should be covered under our contract, and we can even audit them for their compliances before giving them this contract.
Okay.
And
So
then
the kind of orders which we place to them,
right,
these clauses should also get inserted now.
right.
Okay. Carry on.
So it's a very good question. Thank you. Because these are like very tricky things. So, so yeah. So special protections, children's data, sensitive processing. So government has like anyone who's below the age of 15 is categorized as a children. So under this act, age verification. So you must verify that user is not a child before processing. So technologically verifiable proof is required. So right now things are not very clear how this can be achieved. But hopefully by next year, when that act is fully operational, things will be more clear. So parental consent will be required. So must obtain a verifiable parent or guardian consent before processing any child's personal data. But the ambiguity lies is like when you are giving a consent online. So how to identify whether the children is like are imposing like impersonating as parent or not. So those things I think still not clear, and we'll see how those things will be tackled. So no tracking. So for children, it has been clearly stated that tracking of their data is absolutely prohibited. No monitoring, no profiling, no behavioral advertising directed at children. So you cannot use their data for any analytics or behavior study, anything. No harmful content cannot cause detrimental effect on child's well-being. So breach of these compliances, there will be a penalty of maximum 200. Similarly, we have a significant sensitive personal data, health and medical records in hospitals. So health record is also very sensitive data because it has all the details of your diseases, your health conditions. So that is also considered as a very sensitive data. Biometrics, fingerprints, retina scans. Even in social media, we can see people are openly posting their religious and political beliefs, financial data, sexual orientation, caste or tribal origin. So if like these data are stored by some organizations, so these are very sensitive data. So there are some like for state and government bodies, so they can process data for legitimate state purposes without consent. So they have this exception. So we discuss about the legitimate use of data. So the government has been given this exception. And the funny thing is that there are already 3 PILs going in the Supreme Court for these exceptions to the government. And the irony is that all these penalties will be going to the government funds, and victims are not getting any penny. So these objections are raised in a PIL to Supreme Court. Like victims should also be compensated if their data is breached. The money is only going to the government fund. So the people think that that is not fair. So this is the like data breach management, the 72-hour clock. Like if our data is breached, so what process we need to follow? R0, like once the breach is detected, so we need to activate the incident response team, document breach nature, scope, and affect systems affected by that breach. Hours 0 to 12, first 12 hours containment, isolate affected systems, prevent further exposure, preserve evidence logs. You will need them for both the regulator and for any legal proceedings if they happens afterwards. Hours 12 to 48, assessment and board notification. Assess the full scale and impact. Submit a detailed breach report to the data protection board. Detailed one. Next 72 hours, notify the affected individuals. So this seems a little impractical, like if telecoms data is breached and they have like 40 or 50 crore of your database of their like users. So communicating to each and every affected data principals, it doesn't seem practical. Maybe they can do through messages or what. See. So they have to communicate what happened, what data was explored, what steps they should take to protect themselves. So all these guidelines should be notified to the data principal. From day 4 onwards, remediate and fix the security gap, root cause analysis, update controls, and prepare for board's follow-up investigation. Because once this is reported to the data protection board, so the legal proceedings will, like the data protection board will be active, and you have, then there will be a continuous follow-up from them. So penalty for failure to notify the board or the individuals of a breach is up to 200 crore. The breach itself is bad enough, and I think that if you try to cover up even an accidental one will be worse. So this is the penalty schedule. So whenever I like present this slide, I've seen people taking notes. So failure to implement reasonable safety guards. So this is covered under section 8(5) of the Act. The maximum penalty is up to 250 crore. Like if you don't have reasonable safety guards, like if your systems are open to the public on the internet, if you don't have data encryption, don't have data retention, so if these safeguards are not there, so the penalties may go up to 250 crore. And this is like per instance of a breach. Like if you have multiple instances, so this will multiply. So the impact is like significant. Similarly, if you fail to notify the data protection board or data principals, so penalty may go up to 200 crore. Non-compliance with children's data provisions, similar 200 crore. If you are designated as a significant data fiduciary and you fail to oblige your like additional responsibilities like DPO, appointing a DPO, you have not conducted a data audit or a data assessment, protection assessment, penalties may go up to 150 crore. So breach of any other provision of this act, like general provisions, it's like may go up to 50 crore. So some relief for the data principals, like common people like us. Like if we fail to observe our duty as a data principal, the fine is up to 10,000. Like if I give incorrect information to a data fiduciary, something like that. So fine is up to 10,000. So government is a bit lenient with us. So important notes on the enforcement. So penalties are civil, not criminal. So focused on financial accountability, not imprisonment. So penalties will be deposited in Consolidated Fund of India, and Data Protection Board will consider like multiple factors like nature and gravity of the breach, the volume of data affected, your compliance history, the remediation steps you have taken. If you are documenting everything you do, show your work. So there's a very high chance that your penalties may be waived off, or data protection board will be very lenient while deciding the penalties. So then there is a process to, like, after, if you're not happy with the judgment of data protection board, you can appeal to the Telecom Dispute Settlement Appellate Tribunal, TDSAT, which is already functional. And after that, there's a provision of going to High Court also. So as per my experience, as this is a new law, so I think it will take some time to mature. And going forward, maybe from next year onwards, precedent set by the Supreme Court on this act, I think they will help to get this law matured, and we'll have more clarity, because right now it's just a 44 section code book, and a lot of things are not clear. So things will like be clear once we'll have litigations and involvement of Supreme Court from the next year onwards. So this is like some information about the Data Protection Board of India, its composition, chairperson and members appointed by central government, operates as in independent digital office. Decisions are quasi-judicial in nature, means that they have the force of a legal order. Jurisdiction, it hear complaints from data principals, can investigate breaches and non-compliances on its own motion. It can call for information from any data fiduciary. If the board send you a notice, so you should always respond. So financial penalties up to 250 crore, cease and desist orders, voluntary undertakings, referrals to TDSAT. So they have all these powers. Process. So the process is like complaint. If they have a complaint, they can investigate. They can show cause notice can be issued. So they can have hearings. Order can be passed. And if you're not happy, you can go to the TDSAT or the High. So before imposing any penalty, the board must give the data fiduciary an opportunity to present its case. Natural justice principles applies. So here the compliances, the documentation we are doing will be very helpful. So case of like litigation. So at the time of hearing, we can show our evidences, our records, like we have taken all these preventive measures, but still there are certain things which were beyond our control. So once we have those evidences of compliances we have done, so that can lower our penalties significantly. So that's why doing the compliances for this act is like very, very important. So board may accept voluntary undertakings from data fiduciaries committing to corrective actions. So this they can, like I just said, like they can reduce or waive off the penalty also if they are satisfied from your undertakings. These are the compliance timelines. There are 3 critical phases. So last phase 1 has already passed last year in November 25 when the DPDP rules were notified. So the act is now fully operational. The government has constituted the data protection board. So positions are still like they are filling up the positions, but as per law, the board is like constituted. Complaint mechanism is live. So significant data fiduciary designation criteria is published. What we have discussed, like volume, sensitivity, all these criteria for the significant data fiduciaries are published. So next phase is the coming November 2026. Consent manager framework will be live. Consent manager registrations will be on. Like TCS has been granted license, so other companies are also applying for that. Some small organizations, they have developed their own tools for consent management, and they are also trying to get registered as a consent manager. So organizations will have time to integrate the consent manager API. Digital consent workflows must be operational, critical for all digital product organizations. So, so here 12 months sounds like a long time, but it's not. We have already like 6 months have been passed. So like integrating APIs, training staff, testing workflows. Usually it takes like 6 to 9 months minimum. So most of the organizations, they have already started. The big ones, especially the telecoms and the banking sector. So next phase will be the May 13, 27. All obligations fully enforceable on this date. Breach notification procedures will be active. Data retention erasure rules will be effective. Rights of data principals will become enforceable, which means that data principals can complain to data protection board if they feel there is a breach of any compliance or their rights have been violated. Significant data fiduciary obligations will be fully active. cross-border transfer rules will be operative, and DPOs will be like mandatory for every significant data flow district. So they all must have a DPO appointed before May 13, 27. So May 13, 27 is a full enforcement deadline. So like less than a year now for large PSU with complex systems, vendor relationships, and thousands of employees. So I know it's not a comfortable runway. So there are some new rules for cross-border transfers also. So if I summarize them, so yes, you can transfer data to other countries unless our central government notifies a specific country as restricted. So this is a whitelist blacklist mode. So you can transfer to any country not on the restricted list. The restricted list is still pending, but we know the framework. So transfer for state purposes like diplomacy, medical emergencies, employment related transfers, or PSU staff working abroad, and standard commercial transfers for non-restricted countries are in. For blocked like or restricted transfers, countries notified by the central government transfers that could harm national security, sensitive data, citizen data without adequate safeguards, and transfer to adversarial jurisdictions. Like these all are restricted or blocked by the government. So if we talk about corporates or PSUs, so there are some concerns like mostly cloud vendors are hosted outside India. So if your data sits on a server in Singapore, the US or Ireland, you need to assess whether that country is on the restricted list or not. And when the list comes out, so you need to act fast. So foreign JV partners assessing Indian employee data, overseas subsidiaries, international R&D data sharing. So all these need to be mapped and assessed whether the data is not going to like restricted of the country. So these are like PSU specific implications. These are like universal for every corporate also. So HR and payroll. So like data involved, employee records, salary data, biometrics, health and family details. These all are like personal data. So employee consent for processing beyond employment contract, strict retention, deletion on exit are required. So this requires auditing of HR systems, defining retention periods, create employee data notice. So all these compliances must be done. Similarly, for customer and citizen services, KYC, Aadhaar, PAN, transaction histories, your onboarding forms need to be redesigned. You need a governance portal that can handle and resolve requests within 30 days. You need erasure workflows for even purpose of holding data is fulfilled. So redesigning onboarding, building grievance mechanism, defining erasure workflows. So all that things are required. Similarly, for IT and digital systems, so they need to store like app logs, API data, cloud databases, analytics, monitoring tools. So privacy by design must be embedded in every new system developed. So every third-party vendor contract must include a data processor agreement. So conduct DPIA for all significant systems, review every vendor agreement. So like if your data is stored in a vendor system, so all those things should be covered in a contract with the vendor that they have to ensure the proper safeguards for your data. So here, like there's a practical advice. Like as per law, the DPDP Act, the primary liability lies with the data fiduciary, not with the data processor. So the only relief which you can have, like if you are covering any breach from the vendor side in your contract, Like, because penalty will be faced by the data fiduciary, but you can have that contract, that clause in your contract with your vendors, like in case that happens, so the vendor will share the liability. I know it's not easy to enforce, but that will give maybe some relief to the data fiduciaries. Similarly, for procurement and vendors, so vendor employee data, shared systems, outsourced processing. So you remain accountable as a data fiduciary. So this calls for updating every vendor contract, every data processor agreements, conduct vendor audits. The vendor who loses your customer data and then says it was in the contract, that is their fault. It's not comfortable. Like if data protection board sends you a notice. This is like I have designed a quick gap assessment. Where does your organization stand? So maybe you can check these points, and this will give you a maybe a kind of health checkup for your organization. So if you have not mapped your personal data assets like data inventory, you should act now. If your consent notice is plain languages, purpose specific, and in regional languages, if that is not done, time to act now. Similarly, for the consent management, if that is not there, working withdrawal mechanism for every data collection point, you need to act now. Like these are like immediate things that we should start. Breach response plan we can plan because we still have time till May 27. So we can start working on that. That's a planning thing. Retention policy, it should be there. You should act. If you don't have a retention policy, that should be created now. So rest of the things you can plan like vendor agreements. So you need to have DPDP compliant data processor agreements. There should be a grievance mechanism for the data principals, like how they can register their grievance and how that can be handled. If you are a significant data fiduciary, I think you can plan for a DPO point, and that should be notified to the board also. You should start the employee trainings now. So I think that is very important thing, because your biggest safeguard is your training. Like if your employees are aware of like the risk and the concerns or the safety risk, so I think lot of breaches or incidents can be. So if there is a data protection impact assessment process for new projects, you need to verify that process is there. So I think these are like very important tasks that maybe we all should start working on. Some of them should be completed by now. Any questions on like now we are closing this the DPDP thing. So after that we'll discuss about the cyber crimes. So maybe if you have any questions or anything regarding to this act, so you can please ask.
Kapoor sir, I have one question.
Yeah.
There is one RTI Act also,
Right.
and particularly public sector companies, PSUs.
Right.
They are bound by RTI Act and they have to give answer within certain period of time.
Yes. Yes.
I have seen in my working days till very recently in Mekon Limited that somebody asked a question about one individual. When did he join? What was his degree? Kindly share his degree, diploma,
Right.
caste, वगैरह वगैरह.
Right.
So now suppose we share it under RTI Act. Normally we
Right.
try not to in
Yes.
first instance, but then once he raises the level, sometimes we have to review whether this information should be given or not. Mostly we don't. But then a lot of dilemma comes. What to give, how much to give. So
Right.
how this RTA Act and this new act, DPDP Act,
Hmm.
Are they overlapping, or there is very clarity as per DPDP Act? What are the exclusions in RTA Act as far as data sharing is concerned?
So there is a contradiction, like conflict between the two. So one of the PIL in the Supreme Court is regarding the same question. Because
Mhm.
as per DPDP Act, you cannot disclose that if you
Right.
don't have the consent from
Mhm.
that individual. So this is like one of the thing Supreme Court is like working upon, and once we'll have a judgment from them, it will be clear. Because at present DPDP Act is undermining the RTI, and this is a concern raised by many NGOs and activists. Like
Mhm.
government will use this act to hide their activities.
Very true, because it came to my mind under the
Yes, yes, yes.
DPDP Act, I need not to share even, any information to anybody
Right.
under RTI queries,
Yes,
because
yes,
ultimately
that's
the
true.
data will either pertain to my employee or my contractor or my vendor,
Right.
right?
So there are like three PILs going on. One is for this RTI thing. Second is for that compensation not going to the data principal of
Indeed,
the victim. And third one is the like government has like they have exempted themselves in lot of things, so they are not answerable. So like that's why those activists are not okay with that. So they, because it's undermining the RTI thing, because they can use this act to like not to answer any.
In fact, any query
Yeah, any query. Yes, can be misused. Can be misused.
can be
So it's
useful.
yeah. So it's with the Supreme Court, and we all are like waiting, eagerly waiting for like what next. So that's what I was like. I discussed like it's not mature right now. Maybe next 2 3 years when we'll have more precedents or judgments from the Supreme Court. So there will be lot of clarity. Right now there's lot of ambiguity. Law is there. It's like 44 sections, but how those will be implemented, or I think there will be lot of changes also after those precedents, because this is like a
Correct.
fresh thing, from the oven.
Ah,
So needs lot of dressing.
right. I mean, I was not knowing that it is already with the Supreme Court for review and all.
Yes.
I just casually thought
Yes, yes, because it's
this
a
can be
practical
misused
problem
also.
here. Yes, practical problem you are facing daily. I know,
Mhm.
right?
Thank you. Thank you, Kapoor sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Advocate Rohit Kapoorji. This is Dr. Swaroop, and there's something wrong with my camera, so therefore I can't show you my face. But thank you
No
so
problem.
much for coming and having delivered this presentation and taught our people here. One request that I just wanted to make, I was listening to you right from the beginning,
Right.
and one request that I want to make that let us just start with the kind of basics and how exactly our engineers, professional engineers, can understand the legal nuances. In fact, the whole thing starts with the contract documents that they have.
Hmm.
Now, they need to basically understand what are the conditions under which they have to work and deliver the projects. That is very important.
Right.
And are they making any commitments which are basically going to be, I would say, having the far-reaching consequences? Those are the kind of things that
Hmm.
one has to really and seriously think about it. So,
Right.
I have this particular notion, and ever since I had been managing the projects, I always had this policy that right from day one, before you quote for any job, please go through the contract conditions and have a
Right.
look at it, have a look at them, and also understand the legal implications that are there and safeguard against whatever, uh, kind of funny conditions that you might encounter. That is very,
Right.
very important.
Right.
So, what I would request you that not only now but also in future, please prepare a presentation where you can pick up any standard contract document and tell our friend That what are the things that we have to basically watch and watch against. Secondly, even you see, there is another beautiful side of it. Our arbitrators and conciliators who are there to resolve the disputes, bulk of them are actually the legal professionals.
Right.
And there are many cases where it is basically the technical nuances which have a very profound impact on the
Right.
dispensation of justice. That is one more thing that we have to consider. So I think it should be a two-pronged strategy where you can ask some of our legal experts also to come in and understand the kind of physical limitations and how exactly they have to sort out the thing. So these are the two suggestions that I wanted to make. Once again, thank you so much for being with us, and I hope that we'll keep this interaction uh,
Sure.
alive and for a long time to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. I think very good suggestions, and I think these are the practical challenges or things I think should be addressed. Definitely. Right. So maybe we can move to the next section, cybercrime.
How much time that part will take?
I think that is not that big. It should be over in maybe 15-20 minutes. That
Okay,
is
then.
okay. Or maybe we
नहीं नहीं
can.
नहीं I said on different note. अगर लोग थोड़ा बोर हो जाते हैं फिर वो डिफिकल्ट होता है वो
High
लास्ट
note.
वाला पार्ट अंडरस्टैंड करने में.
हाँ.
तो अगर जनरल ओपिनियन है कि वी शुड कंटिन्यू तो वी कैन कंटिन्यू अदरवाइज मे बी वी कैन एलोकेट अनदर सेशन सम डे वेयर वी कैन टॉक अबाउट इट. तो लिविंग इट टू योगराज जी, आप बताओ आपका क्या व्यू है. शुड वी कंटिन्यू?
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
चलो फर्स्ट क्लास. ठीक है, फिर
Oh,
स्टार्ट रखिए. कोई
okay.
लेट्स होप ऑल आवर पार्टिसिपेंट विल रिमेन.
Right. Okay, great.
No, sir. No,
स्टार्ट.
sir. No problem. We can continue.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
कंटिन्यू.
So I'm not covering all the cyber crimes, but which are like very prevalent these days. So few of them. So this is like the one of the famous crime we have heard of news in media. And I don't know whether if someone here has faced that or not. Digital arrest scam. So digital arrest, the two words that should not logically go together. You cannot arrest someone digitally. There is no provision under our law, earlier CRPC, now BNSS, or any law in India for a video call arrest. Yet in 2024, in the year 2024 alone, Indians lost thousands of crores of rupees to this exact scam. So let me tell you how it works. So digital arrest is a social engineering scam where criminals impersonate as a police, CBI, ED, or court officer and claim that you are under investigation. And one of the biggest red flag is that it will be a WhatsApp call. You will not get a normal call. It will be a WhatsApp call. So if someone calls you on a WhatsApp and says that he is from police, CBI, ED, or court, so that is a red flag or a WhatsApp message. So they'll tell you there is a case against you. Maybe a parcel in your name was intercepted at customs containing drugs, or you have forged passports. There are illegal SIMs, illegal SIMs attached to your Aadhaar card, or maybe your bank account has been linked to money laundering network. Your Aadhaar card was used to open accounts connected to a crime. So these are like the kind of allegations they will make. Then they'll tell you that you are under digital arrest. So you must stay on the video call, you must not contact anyone, you must not disconnect and must cooperate. So, or you will be arrested physically within the hour. So that's the threat they will make. The call continues for hours or sometimes days, so they'll keep you in the state of sustained fear and isolation. So eventually, you are asked to transfer money to prove your innocence, to secure your assets, or to pay a processing fee for clearance. And people do, because by that point, the scammers have done something very specific to your brain. So, in under Indian law, there is no such thing as digital arrest. There is no process where you can be held under investigation via Skype or a video call or a Zoom call. So maybe I'm not sure if you have received any call claiming your Aadhaar, SIM card, parcel, bank account is under investigation. Because I have received once. So someone called me and told me that he is from CBI. I just laughed and disconnected the call. So if you have received these calls, so maybe you are already shortlisted by the cyber criminals. So why it works? Usually we have seen that this is happening with even with educated people, bureaucrats, judges, so who are already aware of these things. So why it is working like because they are using certain psychological levers. So what is the strongest human emotion? It's fear. So the scammer knows that better than psychologists. So let me break down the psychology because it's like they do it in a very unsettling way. So first one is the authority. The scammers use uniforms. Like on a video call, you will see the like police officer in a uniform, and the background will be like that. He'll be sitting in a police station with official logos. They will use legal terminology, scripted threats, FIR, warrant, court order. So they can show you like these documents also on the call. So they also use caller ID spoofing so that it appears that call is coming from an official number. So they will also show you the fake ID cards. So your brain sees what looks like official law enforcement and it responds the way it has been conditioned to with compliance. Because we all are conditioned to like comply with the authorities. So they are using that like you are like psychological wiring for that. Second is the fear and shame. Like the accusations are deliberately shocking: drugs, trafficking, money laundering, child exploitation. So they will add a layer of shame. If your name is involved is on this, the shame pushes you try to solve it quietly rather than immediately called a trusted person. Because nobody wants to discuss that with your friends and family. Isolation. You are told to stay alone. Don't tell your family. Don't call your lawyer. Don't use any other device. So this prevents the reality check. The moment you involve with a trusted third party, the scam collapses. They know that. So they keep you alone. Urgency. You have 10 minutes to pay or your account will be frozen. The arrest warrant will be executed in 1 hour. Time pressure suppresses critical thinking. The brain shifts from analytical mode to survival mode. Confidentiality. They'll tell you that this is a classified operation. If you tell anyone, you will be charged with obstruction. So real agencies do not require secrecy from person they are investigating. So this is a like control tactic. The moment you recognize these five levers being used on you: authority, fear, isolation, urgency, confidentiality, you are being scanned. Stop, disconnect. You can verify through the official channels. Maybe you can connect to the police station and report there. So these are the common stories they will tell you that there was a parcel in your name, it has drugs or fake passports, SIMs, electronics, and the caller claims your Aadhaar or phone was used and you must cooperate immediately. They may share fake tracking IDs, images of seized items, staged a video call with an officer to make it believable. Second is money laundering link. They'll tell you that your bank account is linked to a laundering network. it will be frozen unless you verify funds. They may mention real agencies, ED, CBI, ask for bank details, screenshots, or to move money to a safe account for audit. This is always a red flag. Legitimate verification does not require transferring funds to unknown accounts. And like this kind of thing has recently happened with one of my known one. They were a retired couple, and the lady's husband has dementia, so she was already under a lot of stress. So she has to take care of the not so well husband, and she got a call that they are calling from the police station, and their mobile is used for child trafficking. And that lady was so scared, they took away all her pension money, everything, and the total scam was around like 47 or 48 lakhs they took away from. And I don't know how much money will be recovered. She has registered a complaint and the process investigation is going on. But like this is the impact of these things. Like the people fear and then they follow the instructions blindly. So we must be very careful for these kind of calls. They use these control tactics on the call to keep you in control. They'll ask you to stay on camera, keep mic on, don't contact anyone. They may ask you to share screen, show your surroundings, that there is no other person in your room. So they want you to be isolated. They want you to keep your phone always pointed at you. So these tactics are designed to prevent you from verifying and push you into fast payments. Because once you panic and their job is done. So these are what they demand under reality check. So they'll tell you pay a fine to avoid arrest, transfer to a safe account temporarily. Even in that case where that lady was scammed, they asked her to transfer this money into Supreme Court's account so that they can verify that the money came to her account through legitimate channels. And they tell her that after 1 hour, after verifying the transactions, they will transfer back the money to her account. And she believed that. So deposit for verification, KYC, audit, or to pay lawyer or court fee, they'll use UPI, IMPS, RTGS to personal accounts. So these are the red flags. In reality, no agencies verifies innocence by taking money. No lawful arrest can be executed over video calls. Safe account is always the scammer's account. And legal notices come through former channel, not through WhatsApp call. So stop that call, don't pay, verify via the official sources. So don't be scared, don't panic. And most of these calls, you can easily understand that it's a scammer if you simply apply your brain and common sense. Similarly, there are some online or UPI scams. So how many people here believe that scanning a QR code can receive money? Any believers? So India has 300 billion plus active UPI users. So daily transactions in the tens of thousands of crore rupees. It's one of the most elegant payment systems in the world, and scammers also love that. So not because UPI is insecure, it isn't, but because UPI is fast, and fast means less time to think. The scammers are about to cover all exploit that speed. So in this section, we'll cover the most common UPI scam patterns, the attacker's playbook, and most importantly, what you can do if someone in your organization gets scammed or in your family. So let's begin the one that confuses the most people, collect request trap. So Scammer says, I'm sending you money. Just accept this request. So in UPI, collect request means you are paying. If you are entering your UPI PIN, so you are authorizing an outgoing transfer. So you never have to enter your UPI PIN to receive money. So if anyone asks you to enter a PIN, so it means that money is going outwards, not coming inwards. So that's like this is happening a lot with people. So if you open any UPI notification, read the screen carefully. It will either say pay or receive. If it says pay, you are paying. Stop there. To receive money, you share your UPI ID or QR code. You never need to enter your PIN. So that's the Bible to escape from this trap. Second is fake customer care. So nowadays what's happening a lot is that fraudsters, they publish fake helpline numbers and pose as bank or support staff from those organizations. So they guide victim to verify details, then ask for OTP, UPI PIN or screen share. So in reality, real support staff will never ask for PIN or to install any app for remote access. So you should always use only in-app help section in your bank or payment app. Don't go on Google and search for customer support and these things, because what's happening with is that they create fake sites with fake numbers, and using this digital marketing, they can pay money and sponsor their link to be shown as the first one. So usually people believe that the first listing is the right one and they click that and they got scammed. So the best way to get support number is the back of your debit or credit card, or the official bank website, not from search engine result. Never share your PIN or OTP with anyone, not even with someone claiming to be a bank support. And never trust any customer care executive if it asks you to install a remote access app. Recently, I have solved a case for a school teacher. She ordered milk from Blinkit. The milk was spoiled. So she tried to search for the contact number in the app itself, but maybe she was in hurry or what, she was not able to find. And she Googled it, Blinkit customer care support. And she called someone, and after that she registered her complaint. After 5 minutes she got a call on a WhatsApp number, so that was the first flag. So the guy said that he's from the Blinkit customer support and they are processing the refund of the milk. So she must open the UPI app which she has used to make the payment. Once she opened the app, her phone was hung, it became hot, she was not able to do anything on her phone. So that continued for 2-3 minutes, and when she got her control back, 99,000 rupees were deducted from her salary account. So fortunately we are able to recover 77,000 of that. Still she lost 22,000 rupees just for the small mistake that she believed a WhatsApp call as a customer care executive. QR code tricks. So a QR code in the context of UPI is primarily a tool for paying someone, not receiving someone. So someone sends you a QR code and says scan this and money will come to your account. You scan it and money will definitely leave your account. Second version is that what scammers nowadays doing, they are placing their own QR code or a sticker over legitimate merchants QR code. So you scan what you think is the shopkeeper's QR and pay the scammer instead. Like in a pawn shop or a cigarette shop, you will see multiple stickers pasted on the shop. if someone like on the side of that shop, if someone pasted a fake QR code, and people usually believe that it's from the shop owner, and they pay the scammer instead of the shop owner. It's a low tech, high yield, and criminals are innovators too. So before paying the QR, verify the merchant name that appears on the screen after scanning. Verify the amount. If the displayed name doesn't match the establishment you are in, do not pay. Or you can check from the shopkeeper whether if this name is okay or not. Before scanning any QR code at shop, physically check that the QR code is the original one, not a sticker placed over it. Because they also have a small box or a machine with a QR code, not a sticker. So that will ensure that you are paying through the right link, the fake one. This is the most technologically advanced versions of scams these days, most sophisticated one. So you will receive a message from a number you don't know, forwarded in a group, or even from a seemingly legitimate sender. It contains a link. Click here to complete your KYC, or click to claim your reward, or click to claim your delivery, click to process your own approval. The links open either the fake login page that steal your credentials or initiates a UPI payment intent with pre-filled details. So the more dangerous version is the APK, the Android app file sent via WhatsApp. Install this in your KYC. Install this for your KYC. Install this reward app. So once these apps are installed, they can read your messages, intercept your OTPs, and in advanced cases, overlay fake payment screens on top of real ones. So you will believe that you are seeing a real screen, and you can enter your credentials and end up paying to the scammer. So how to protect yourself? Install apps only from official Google Play Store or Apple App Store, never from a file sent in a message. So one of the case I handled was that someone got a link to an investment app in a Facebook group. He installed that app and ended up paying 8 lakhs to the scammer. And it was using the name of a very famous investment app with very slight variation, which usually people don't notice, like if they don't check it thoroughly. So never click payment links from your unknown senders. If someone you know shares a link from a forwarded message, verify with them directly before clicking. This is one of the one more interesting story I would like to share. My client, who happens to be my childhood friend, his brother-in-law is in US, and his brother-in-law's phone was hacked. So he got a message from his brother-in-law there with a link that pays 80,000 rupees to this guy, because I am in a meeting at the moment and I cannot pay him. I am facing some technical challenges. And my friend, who believed that it's coming from his brother-in-law, he ended up paying 80,000 rupees. But when he checked with his wife, he came to know that she also received a similar message. Then they realized that this is a scam. They immediately called the brother-in-law, and he came to know that his WhatsApp was hacked. Fortunately, he registered the complaint to cyber portal immediately and informed the banks also, and whole money was recovered. So if a link asks for your UPI PIN and OTP, close it immediately. No legitimate payment or KYC processes requires you to enter your PIN on a web page. So this is the attacker's playbook. So they'll contact the victim. So in the pretext of refund, buyer, KYC support, they'll create urgency, push for quick action on phone. They'll trigger payment collect request, QR link. So when victim enters the PIN or approves the transaction, money is transferred to the scammer. And they are very good at covering tracks, deleting chats, they'll block your number, they'll take a new number for the next scam before the victim realizes his loss. So what you can do if you are scammed, act fast. Call 1930. That's the National Cyber Crime Helpline immediately. Because this will help for faster tracing and potential fund hold. What happens is that once the money is transferred to the scammer account, so they try to move it to different accounts quickly. They have a lot of mule accounts and different layers of accounts. So if you act immediately, so you can minimize your loss. Immediately inform your bank and UPI app via support your app support via official channels. Start dispute, chargeback, block further attempts because bank will immediately block your account for further transactions. Register a complaint at cybercrime.gov.in. So that will create a formal incident record and calls for an investigation. Disable UPI, change your password, remove mandates. So this will prevent the repeated transactions. And what should you always do is that preserve the evidence, the screenshots if you are having a chat with the scammer. Your UPI number, UTR transfer, numbers, links, chats, whatever you have, preserve that evidence. So that will be helpful when police or bank takes the action. So if it happens in your corporate device or on your official device, so please notify your internal security or IT team because it may happen that hackers may have installed a malware to stole your credentials or so they can check the device, take the necessary preventive actions. So always pause, verify, then pay. So never do it in hurry. So we have covered a lot of ground today. Thank you. The DPDP Act, what it says, what it covers, what it demands, what it costs to ignore it, cyber crimes, the scams targeting our people, the psychology behind them, and the playbook to counter them. So I'll say stay compliant, stay vigilant, stay secure. So I'm available for questions and through the contact details on screen. If you or your organization more details or any training sessions for your teams, so please feel free to reach out. So thank you for your time, your attention, and most important, your patience. So if any questions, any queries, you can please ask.
योगराज जी
सर
तो भाई आप थोड़ा इनकरेज करिए ना लोगों को क्वेश्चन आंसर के लिए।
क्वेश्चन करते ही नहीं, क्या करें सर? अगर किसी का कोई क्वेश्चन है, सवाल है तो वो पूछ सकते हैं सर से।
एनीबडी? अथवा मैं एक सवाल पूछ लेता हूँ क्योंकि मैं बहुत दिनों से ये सोच रहा था। ये कपूर साहब,
हाँ जी सर।
when we all open accounts, we have to undergo that KYC process and then re-KYC,
Right.
e-KYC, lot of things do happen. So when these
Right.
fraudsters are opening their accounts to get the money transferred, how they are able to get their accounts opened, or all they got opened outside the country?
No, even
if that account is there, then account belongs to some bank. So
Right.
why that particular bank will not be able to find it out?
Sir, it's very easy to make a rent agreement and use it as an address proof. The problem is that normally banks, they don't do their due diligence while, so that's the
No,
issue.
no, not my question is not exactly that. See,
Okay,
I have opened an account using
okay,
fake documents, but
right,
my account is there. Suppose I
yes,
opened an account in SBI using
hmm,
all fake documents, fake identity, but my account
hmm,
is there. So now
right,
money which has been sort of stolen goes to that account,
yes,
and maybe now from that account they'll be sending it to another account.
yes,
So whatever is happening is actually happening through bank accounts only. So
yes,
why this
right.
tracing becomes so difficult? And if it is so easy, then how these hackers or these cheats, they are so confident that they will be successful and they will
Yeah.
not be caught.
So practically what's happening is that like if I've been scammed like for 1 lakh rupees, right? So it goes into a
Hmm.
scammer's account. What will now happen is that in the layer two, he will have five accounts where he will transfer 20,000 each,
Okay.
right? Then they'll take out that amount through ATMs. Now that money, and that ATM is somewhere in Jharkhand.
Jamtara.
Yes, that's why they are never caught. That's why
No, but
acting like, hmm.
still that trail can be very easily. I mean, within 5 minutes, bank can
Yes,
tell
yes, yes,
"Ki
yes,
this money came, yes, this money
yes,
got
yes,
transferred to this account, yes, and
yes,
then this amount has been withdrawn by people using ATM. Now, even when they are withdrawing from ATM, they are having
right.
that ATM card
Yes, yes,
or debit
everything is there. So
card.
the, but
So the
the
entire
problem is that
trail can be traced.
it can be traced if the local police cooperates with you.
हाँ, ठीक है, अभी समझ में आ गया। और यही मैं सुनना चाह रहा था कि अल्टीमेटली कहीं तो कोई
Yes,
हमारे सिस्टम की भी प्रॉब्लम होगी,
हाँ हाँ
बिकॉज
सर,
आउट ऑफ दैट
डेफिनेटली,
20,000 10 उनको पहुंच गया
हाँ,
तो बस।
बिल्कुल,
सो
वहां पे
दिस,
जाके फंस
तो मुझे
जाती है
लगता है
चीजें।
रूट प्रॉब्लम बैंकिंग सिस्टम से ज्यादा यहाँ
हाँ,
पर है, वहां फंसता है। क्योंकि
राइट,
मैंने देखा,
राइट,
मेरा एक फ्रेंड है, उसका कोई प्रॉब्लम, बिकॉज उसके काफी क्लोज लोग पुलिस में सीनियर लेवल पे आईपीएस ऑफिसर हैं, तो उसका मोबाइल भी उसको मिल जाता है, उसका कुछ फ्रॉड
यस,
हुआ वो भी हो गया ठीक। एंड इट
यस,
हैपन विद
यस,
इन वेरी स्मॉल पीरियड ऑफ टाइम। बाकी
यस
जो
सर,
कॉमन पब्लिक है उसका न्यूज में आता है केवल,
ये
एंड दैट्स
बिल्कुल।
इट।
इसमें यही है, अगर हमने
ओके, ओके।
इमीडिएटली अपना अकाउंट ब्लॉक करा दिया साइबर क्राइम में बोल के, और वो अकाउंट पहली लेयर में ही फ्रीज हो गया, तो आपका पैसा
हाँ,
मिल जाएगा। जैसे ही वो फर्स्ट लेयर से निकल गया ना, फिर आपको कभी भी पूरा पैसा नहीं मिलेगा।
राइट, समझ गया।
तो
एंड दैट
ये,
फेलो इज आल्सो नॉट कॉट।
हाँ, वो पता ही नहीं लगता, कभी नहीं पता लगता, रेयरली मिलते हैं, बट अगर ये पकड़े जाए तो अब तक बहुत कम हो गया होता। बट और सर, इसमें एक
बिल्कुल।
प्रॉब्लम जो मैं कोर्ट में रेगुलरली फेस करता हूँ, साइबर पोर्टल पे कंप्लेंट रजिस्टर करते हैं। कितनी बार जज ने मेरे सामने आईओ को डांटा है कि एफआईआर कहाँ है, आप एफआईआर क्यों नहीं करते? क्योंकि एफआईआर करने पे आपको उस ट्रेस को फॉलो करना पड़ता है।
करेक्ट।
वो साइबर क्राइम की जो रिपोर्ट होती है साइबर पोर्टल की, उससे सिर्फ आपका मनी मिल जाता है। तो जिसके साथ स्कैम हुआ है वो तो खुश है, चलो मेरा पैसा आ गया, उसको फर्क नहीं पड़ता अब स्कैमर पकड़ा गया कि नहीं गया।
आगे का कुछ होता ही नहीं है फिर।
हाँ, आगे कुछ होता नहीं है। तो मेरे साथ कई बार हुआ है, जज ने बोला एफआईआर लेके आओ, बट फिर इंटरेस्ट ऑफ
हम्म,
विक्टिम वो बेचारा प्लीड करता है कि आपके इस प्रोसेस में मेरा जो मनी है वो है। तो जज नॉर्मली ऑर्डर्स पास कर देते हैं कि भाई इनका मनी रिलीज करो, और वहीं पे केस डिस्पोज हो जाओ, आगे जाता ही नहीं
हम्म,
है।
जाता ही नहीं है। ओके, ओके। थैंक्स, ये क्योंकि ये मेरे दिमाग में बहुत दिनों से क्यूरियोसिटी थी कि आई आस्क
हाँ,
समबडी कि
हाँ,
भाई क्या अल्टीमेटली
यस,
ये
यस,
ट्रैक क्यों नहीं हो पाता है। सो दिस इज द रीजन।
हाँ, हाँ,
चलिए,
ये
दूसरा एक
रीजन है।
और बात बताइए ऐसे जनरल। लाइक आई आल्सो
हम्म,
गॉट व्हाट्सएप कॉल 2 3 टाइम्स, मेल में मेरे को इतने पैसे, इतना अवार्ड, ये सब मिला है, वो आता
हाँ,
रहता है। वी
राइट,
जस्ट कीप डिलीटिंग। एक
राइट,
ये जो बताइए, जैसे मान लीजिए किसी का कॉल आता है,
हम्म,
और एक बार हुआ है कि एक कॉल मेरे पास आई थी, दैट वाज नॉट अ व्हाट्सएप कॉल, नॉर्मल कॉल, और मैंने इनफैक्ट उससे
हम्म,
3 या 4 बार बात की थी। He was talking
ओके,
about some parcel of mine, uh,
हाँ,
which I sent from this place to that place, और
हाँ,
something was coming to me, और उसमें ड्रग्स थे। ये 4 साल
हाँ,
पुरानी बात है.
राइट राइट, वो 100%
That time it
डिजिटल
was
है
very
उसका।
new, so I was not knowing. So I thought it
हाँ
is genuine. तो मैंने उसको ये बोला कि भाई ये मेरा एड्रेस नहीं होगा, आप चेक
हाँ
करो. तो बोला नहीं, इसमें आपका आधार कार्ड का इसमें
हाँ,
जिक्र है,
यस,
आधार कार्ड की आपने कॉपी दी है. उसके बाद
राइट,
मैंने उसको कुछ बोला, ठीक है चलो मैं एक बार चेक करता हूँ, ऐसा भी मैंने बोला. उसके बाद
हाँ,
फिर कॉल आती है, फिर बात होती है, फाइनली फिर मैंने कॉल उठाना बंद कर दिया था.
बंद
बट
कर दिया,
दो या
बेस्ट
तीन
वो
बार
भी।
कॉल आई और उसने कभी भी मेरे से कुछ एक्सटॉर्शन की बात नहीं कर पाया, या हो सकता है वो लॉन्ग टर्म प्लान रहा उसका.
वो ऐसा है ना सर, जब
हम्म.
आप एक बार एग्री कर जाओगे या बोलोगे नहीं, आप डर गए और आप कहोगे इसको कैसे फिक्स करना है, फिर उनका गेम शुरू हो जाता
हम्म.
है, अब हमें
हाँ.
वेरीफाई कर।
तो चूंकि मैं डरा नहीं था, आई वाज ओनली
हाँ,
लॉजिक,
यस,
लॉजिकली मैं उसे क्वेश्चन कर रहा था.
हाँ
तो उस
हाँ,
स्टेज तक वो पहुंचा नहीं गया. अच्छा ओके,
आप वो
दैट वाज द थिंग.
साइकोलॉजिकल ट्रैप में नहीं गए ना, फियर के, शेम के,
हम्म.
जहां वहां चले जाते तो फिर गए थे।
नहीं, फियर तो नहीं था, लेकिन वरी तो आई थी, ये क्या है
वो
भाई.
थोड़ा वो होता है, बट चलो
हाँ.
एटलीस्ट
मैंने कहा मान लो कोई
उसमें।
जानबूझ के, मेरा कोई एक दुश्मन
हाँ,
मेरे नाम पे एक फेक पार्सल भेज दे, उसके अंदर ड्रग्स हो,
राइट,
तो
यस,
मेरे लिए तो एक हेडेक हो गया.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल,
हाँ. या जैसे यूएस जब हम जाते थे तो बोलता लॉक मत लगाइए,
हाँ जी,
तो लॉक नहीं लगाया, उसके अंदर कुछ उसने डाल दिया,
डाल
तो
दिया,
मुझे कैसे
यस,
पता. तो ये रिस्क
बिल्कुल
रहती है, तो
बिल्कुल,
इसलिए मेरे दिमाग में आया कि हो सकता है किसी ने कुछ प्ले किया हो.
हाँ। सर
ओके.
मैं तो इतना कॉशियस हूँ, मेरी एक पॉलिसी थी पुरानी, मैं भूल गया था, और मुझे जब कस्टमर केयर का फोन आता था मैं सोचता था स्कैमर है और मैं उसे डांट देता था। बाद में मैंने रियलाइज करा वो वो ठीक कॉल थी, मेरी पॉलिसी मैच्योर वाकई हो गई थी,
यस यस.
क्योंकि दिन भर ये
चलिए कपूर
देख
साहब,
देख
थैंक यू
के।
वेरी मच.
हाँ,
हाँ
थैंक यू
सही
सर।
है. चलिए थैंक यू, इट
कपूर
वाज
सर,
नाइस.
थैंक
कपूर
यू।
सर, आपका मोबाइल नंबर जो आपने डिस्प्ले किया था वो 11 डिजिट था।
ऐसा
ले
क्या?
भाई.
जी,
नहीं नहीं,
आपका नंबर एक बार बोल दीजिए
मैं चैट पे
ताकि
डाल
नोट
देता
कर
हूँ।
लें, क्योंकि अभी एक
इस नंबर पे पैसे मत भेजना.
चैट चैट में अभी इन्फॉर्म किया है एक पार्टिसिपेंट्स ने हमारे।
अच्छा अच्छा, ठीक है, मैं अभी डाल रहा हूँ। मैं एक बार स्लाइड भी देख लूँ कैसे हो गया ये।
हाँ, ये बात देखिए देखिए.
हाँ, सही कह रहे हो, 5 एक एक्स्ट्रा लग गया गलती से, स्पेस देते हुए। ये
और
मैंने
किसी
डाल
का कोई
दिया।
सवाल है?
Sir, good morning.
गुड मॉर्निंग।
रविंद्र पाटिल हियर. सर एक्चुअली मेरा एक सवाल है कि जैसे नॉर्मली हमारे पास यूएसबी होती है, तो बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि हम लोग अभी सिक्योर प्रोजेक्ट पे काम कर रहे हैं, तो लैपटॉप से हम लोग कोई डाटा
हम्म,
यूएसबी में कॉपी नहीं कर सकते, बार बार इनक्रप्टेड करके आ रहा है, तो उसके लिए क्या कर सकते हैं?
नहीं, वो तो आपकी आईटी पॉलिसी होगी ना कि वो अलाउ नहीं कर रही उसको कॉपी करना।
ओके. लेकिन एक इन जनरल पूछ रहा हूँ कि आईटी आईटी पॉलिसी के अंतर्गत तो ठीक है आप बात कर रहे हैं, लेकिन अगर इन केस अगर आपका पर्सनल लैपटॉप भी हो तो आप कैसे उसको कर सकते हो?
नहीं, पर्सनल पे तो रोकेगा नहीं ना, मतलब अगर पर्सनल से तो आप कर सकते हो। आईटी पॉलिसी में क्या होता है कि कंपनीज सॉफ्टवेयर इंस्टॉल करती हैं, वो प्रिवेंट कर देती है कि आप डेटा कॉपी नहीं कर सकते यूएसबी में।
एक्चुअली मेरे साथ सीन क्या हुआ है, मेरा प्रीवियस कंपनी का लैपटॉप मैंने उनसे परचेज किया था जब जॉब चेंज किया था,
हाँ,
तो फिर मैं उसमें मुझे प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है कि मैं वहाँ से भी डाटा कॉपी करके नहीं ले सकता हूँ.
ओ, ओके। वो क्या,
इनक्रप्शन.
और आपको उसको एक बार में भी फॉर्मेट करवा लो पूरा, तो वो सब हट जाए।
ओके.
आप
फॉर्मेट में तो
डेटा का,
पूरा डाटा.
हाँ, उसको जो जो होगा सर्विस प्रोवाइडर, वो एक बैकअप कर लेगा, और मे बी आपकी क्या होगा, हार्ड ड्राइव में ही एक बैकअप बन जाएगा, और बाकी वो क्लीन करके सिस्टम को और दोबारा रिस्टोर कर देगा, तो वो जो सॉफ्टवेयर डला है जो इसको रोक रहा है, प्रिवेंट कर रहा है, वो हट जाएगा।
ओके सर, थैंक यू.
एनीबडी मोर? एनीवन? ओके कपूर सर, थैंक यू फॉर योर
ओके,
वेरी इंफॉर्मेटिव सेशन सर।
थैंक यू सो मच। I also enjoyed that, and I would like to thank you, all of you, for patiently listening to, to this stuff. Thank you
नहीं
so
नहीं, इट
much.
वाज इंटरेस्टिंग. It was interesting.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
चलिए,
थैंक यू सर,
okay,
थैंक
thanks a
यू,
lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
थैंक यू, थैंक्स लॉट सर।